Friends, as we gather, I'm just going to give you, because if you're early enough for us in these first 2 minutes, I'm going to give you a sense of like run of show, okay? So you can, some of us like to know what's about to happen. And I'm just going to tell you that we're going to hear from Natalie about our community ethos. Vicky, who is our brand new chair, is going to talk to us about COVID from her broadcast journalism space. Mira, who's our new minister for spiritual development and care. Wow, 3 levels of people, is going to tell us about our new COVID policies. We're going to hear from me about stuff that's going on with the building. Devin's going to talk to us about our campaign. You're going to hear from Ben about programs that are upcoming, and Elise about ongoing ways we're staying connected. And we're going to try to have 20 to 15 minutes of Q&A, okay? So if things are happening, right, like as it moves fast and you're thinking, here's my question, be sure to go ahead and put your question in the chat, because we will be looking at that chat. Okay, can you see me? I feel like I lost everybody. Am I here?
We can see you.
We see you.
And I've got the gallery view, so I see lots of people. We've got almost 60 people on tonight. Wow.
Fantastic. Yeah. And 30 more registered. So we're gonna, hey Sylvia, we're gonna go ahead and get started just so we can get to it all. And if you will put questions in the chat, we're gonna try to pay attention. But in the end, we're gonna have 20, 15 minutes of Q&A. Does that feel good? Natalie, Renee, you start us off.
It's on me. Oh God, we thank you for this time together. Bringing us together with the zeros and the ones. We are always so grateful. Glad tidings of comfort and joy to you all in this season. Middle has always been a place of fierce revolutionary love. That is who we are. And part of that is how we love the mind, the body, and the spirit. All 3 of those. And so in the whole loving of the spirit, in the intersection of COVID, we do need to consider how we shift and grow and change and then shift back and then change again. Like, this is a thing, right? As you're loving the body, to pay attention to what's happening out in the world. The past 2 Sundays, we've had people test positive for COVID on the other side of worship. And so we're just keeping an eye on what's happening and how we're going to manage that sort of thing. So that's what a lot of our conversation, well, some of our conversation will be about tonight, is what we're shifting and what we're keeping and what will work for us as a community, and how we love each other, how we love the least of these, how we love those who cannot be vaccinated. How do we stay together as a community while we're honoring the particularities of each of us? With that, I will pass it over to Vicky.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Jackie and I were talking, I think it was earlier this week, and I said, Jackie, I feel like the reporting around COVID has fallen off, that we just don't see data as regularly and as robustly as we used to when we were in, the height of the pandemic. And I have long believed that people writ large are done with COVID. The trouble is COVID ain't done with us. And so I gathered just some facts. Some are about sort of the Northeast, the tri-state area, but also some national numbers and some global numbers, just to remind us that this thing is with us. So fact number 1, do you know that the first vaccines were administered 2 years ago this month, right? Oh, excuse me, 1 year ago this month. It was December of 2021. Wow. And since then, we've had updated vaccines and we've had boosters. And so that's sort of the good news. Here's another data point from just a week ago. And this is a national number, the United States national number. The day is November 30th. There were 77,000, almost 78,000 new cases of COVID. And there were almost 900 deaths. And here's a fact about who is still dying of COVID. It is mostly our seniors, right? Our elders. 90% are 65 and older. Now, here's a real anomaly. An awful lot of them are vaccinated, right? And today, for whatever reason, when I was gathering this information, I've got a little bit more facts for you. And feeling like there isn't a lot of reporting. Just today, reports about COVID dropped in the Atlantic, the New York Times, the LA Times, and the New Yorker. And that was just, kind of a quick survey. Back to facts in the tri-state area, those of us who sort of are in this geography. New York is among the top 10 states with the highest vaccination rates. So is New Jersey, and so is Connecticut. The state with the highest vaccination rates, I'll just roll them off to you, 1 through 10. So here's the top, and then Rhode Island, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maine, Connecticut, here's the outlier, Hawaii, and then New York, Maryland, New Jersey, and Virginia. Top 10 states with the highest vaccination rates. And those rates are like in 70, 80% and higher, right? But we're in a spike in the New York area. Natalie mentioned that in our own community, we've had a lot of positives of late. I got tested positive a week ago, and so it's still out there. And then there's the other sort of ancillary things. So I remember reporting in the thick of it when we were really attentive to the protocols, not just the social distancing, but the masking. And when we were at the apex of compliance, not only were we controlling COVID, but people weren't getting colds and people weren't getting the flu. Fast forward to this year, when we're sort of mentally and emotionally done with COVID, what's surging? COVID, the flu, and for our kids, RSV, right? So it's just, I don't know, just facts. The facts help. They help us make good decisions. They keep us informed. For my own sense, I'm shocked that I tested positive, but it's a reminder that masking is you protecting other people, and the vaccines and the boosters, what that does is it greatly lowers mortality, right? You don't die. And I mostly felt like I had a bad cold, to be perfectly honest with you. And then I got over it after about 4 days, and then it came back last weekend. So, and everybody's a little bit different. And then in case you were wondering, and I love this because it's bad news and then a silver lining. So global cases of COVID, this is the world, over 650 million. Death rate globally, 6.6 million. But then the global recovery, people who tested for COVID and recovered, 627 million, right? So the science works.
Thank you.
Vicki.
Oh, did I jump in ahead of
No,
someone?
you did great. Hi, Mira.
Hi. Well, I'm here to talk about some changes now to our COVID guidelines. And I want to thank you so much, Vicki, for giving us that insight, for reporting what's going on with the current state of our nation as far as COVID and vaccinations, and also around the world. Like, we're not America-centered or US-centered when we think about these things, especially in New York City, which is a travel hub. Here at Middle Church, we are committed to doing everything in our power to gather and worship safely. And knowing that no in-person gathering is risk-free, we are relying on you, our entire community, to embody love of neighbor by doing everything you can to reduce the spread of COVID. But things are changing. Starting this Sunday, December 11th, proof of vaccination will no longer be required to worship at Middle. I'll say it again. Starting this Sunday, December 11th, proof of vaccination will no longer be required to worship at Middle. I'm trying to practice my broadcast Vicki voice. Is it working? We will, however, still require anyone age 2 or older to wear a mask. And we still wholeheartedly encourage everyone to get vaccinated and boosted to minimize transmission in our community and beyond, and also to minimize your own risk for serious illness. Now, anyone who leads worship, as always, anyone who does so unmasked must provide proof of negative COVID rapid test that is to be taken at 9 a.m. Before our worship service prior to arriving to the sanctuary. And you, those of you that have been involved in worship, you'll know that we have a special COVID email address that you send your negative result to, and that is middlecovid@collegiatechurch.org. So now, in addition to all these baseline precautionary measures, we also ask that you follow up with one another if you get exposed to COVID. So we have some protocols in place for if you've been exposed. If you've been exposed to COVID, as it happened to a couple of members of our community, we ask that you wear a mask, just some safe practices. Wear a mask immediately and get tested. And if you test negative, continue to wear a mask and test before coming into church. If you test negative the day of, then you're welcome to attend in person and be in community with us. But please just stay masked at all times and avoid hugging anyone or any body-to-body contact. This way we can keep each other safe, because as we all know, sometimes it takes a little while before you can test positive for COVID. Now, if you test positive for COVID, the CDC guidelines say that you should isolate for 5 days, regardless of whether or not you have symptoms. If after 5 days you continue to have symptoms, then you should continue isolating until you've been fever-free for 24 hours. And you might ask, well, when can I come back to church again, Mira? When is a safe time to come back to church? Well, don't forget, church is always available online, and so is community. Almost every single day of the week, you can be engaged in the life of the community here at Middle Church. But church is available online. To attend in person, you should wait until you've completed 5 full days of isolation if you've tested positive, or if you have had a negative COVID test for 2 consecutive days. And for more information about this, about when you can come in, because I know I gave you a lot of information, all of these guidelines will be available on our website, and they are also based on the most recent guidelines that are given by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, that's the CDC. Now, I know that our protocols might look very different from that of many other community gathering spaces. However, we are a community of people who have varying levels of vulnerabilities to COVID. Now, the inconvenience of testing and the discomfort of wearing a mask, I know it hurts my ears every Sunday. I believe that it's one that we can bear as an act of love and care towards those who are more vulnerable and those who simply just cannot afford to get sick. This is the least that we can do to keep each other safe. Over to you, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Mira. Thank you, everyone. Hey, y'all. I love hearing the facts and stats and the kind of cultural call-in that Natalie reminded us of. And let me just pick up there and say that in our vision statement, in our mission statement, y'all, we express that we are people dismantling systems of oppression. We're people doing revolutionary, fierce love on behalf of God in the world. We believe our art, our worship, our justice is a prayer to the Holy Spirit. And these theoethics, let me say, the theology and ethics of Middle Church are what bring us to this place. Way before COVID, we worked on behalf of people who were living with or dying from HIV/AIDS. We've stood up for the value of Black lives. We've been to the border to stand up for immigrants. We understand that there's vulnerability in different populations, and we've loved them fiercely. And now, even though the world is trying to pretend COVID is over, we are trying to stand in the truth that just a simple masking is an act of fierce and revolutionary love. Y'all, I'm allergic to my mask. I'm allergic to the air. I'm allergic to Mira and Vera and Natalie, who I love. I'm allergic. So every time I mask up, I'm actually causing my lungs to feel badly. But I protect myself and I protect you, and I make that sacrifice on behalf of God's incredible love for all of us. And with that, I want to just give you a little bit of an update on what's going on with our fiercely loving rebuild, because it is actually quite here in the presence of all of our minds, all of us on staff and on the board. You have heard in the world that we are at a place where we're trying to figure out if our facade can remain standing if we're going to rebuild. And the net high level of that is that the building burned down. The facade did not fall down, but the facade burned up. I mean, that was a 6-alarm fire, hot fire that destroyed our roof and actually licked the limestone on the front of the facade and really also devastated the brick on the back. 2 years of testing, trying, thinking, working, waterproofing, stabilizing with metal to keep the facade standing, stabilizing the 2 towers, some of which fell down, rescuing the Liberty Bell from the tower and taking it to a museum, pushing the debris behind the sanctuary like a big snow berm, pushing the debris against the facade to keep it stable. The facade is not falling down globally, they'd say. It's not falling down globally, but there are incredible pockets of destruction in the facade where it is weak. We've been told by our engineers and by our safety experts that to do work above our height is dangerous, not inconvenient, but dangerous to workers. Even to probe further to find out about the destruction is dangerous. So we're before the Landmarks Commission, the Landmarks Preservation Commission in the East Village, asking them to partner with us to take the facade down so that we can rebuild something, not a big blue glass tower, but something that is appropriate for an historic district, which ours is. You were amazing. Your prayers, your testimonies, your letters, you stood up for us, and we're so excited about it. And we're not finished. On December 13th, Vicki and I will be with our colleagues in front of the Landmarks Commission, further proof texting our case that to build with the facade is not appropriate, because what was landmarked about the facade is actually gone. The windows, the tracings, the historic fabric is gone. So we covered your prayers, and we also especially covered you not speaking about it unless you check in with us, because we want to be of one mind and of one story around the facade. I want to move from that to the other things that we're working on in terms of a rebuild. We're in a beautiful campaign called Middle Rising, and Devin's going to say more about that later. But our Middle Rising campaign assumes that we can rebuild our site with the insurance money that we have left, $21 million we got, minus the $4 million we spent to stabilize the facade. Hear me again, 21 minus 4 to stabilize the facade leaves 17. And we're raising 15 million. 17 plus 15 gives us 32 or so to rebuild the building, but also to build some programming money for staff and programming needs. So this is the campaign we're in. Again, you're going to hear more about that from Devin, but that's the work we're doing. And we're also talking to experts now about what kind of AV, what kind of technology, what kind of sound equipment do we need so that we can be both in the physical space, and all our digital members who are all over the globe and in this room now, that they will have the same kind of experience as though they were in Middle Church. That's what we want, is a worshiping, gathering, holding space, a center for spirituality, justice, and the arts that is both physical and digital. So stay tuned for more on that. We're super excited about that. I think finally I want to say something that's really kind of dear to my heart that I don't say a lot because it's awkward. But man, we had a fire like 2 years ago and we didn't start it. It started in the building to our north. We've had not the warmest, friendliest encounter with our neighbor in these 2 years. But I want to say, friends, that there is no fire that can stop our revolutionary love. Immediately after the fire, we pivoted to Easter online. We did our annual Justice Conference online. We did Juneteenth Now online. We learned how to do a hybrid digital and in-person experience for worship and programming. Our staff has learned new skills about how to unlock making something intimate that happens through the screen, and also the free, beautiful space that we have at East End Temple. All of that is a blessing and all of that is a joy. So I want to say to you, we're here for you. That's Vicki, our new chair. That's the 15 people that make our board. That's our staff. That's another 15. That's me, and that's you. We're in this together, and we will get to the promised land, which will be a new digital and physical space in which we can be ourselves and heal our souls and heal the world. If you want to know more, we have an incredible flip book now at middlechurch.org/rising, so you can sit and look with what our plans are. We have a video that you can look at and share with your friends, and any of the staff and I are happy to answer the questions you may have about what we think tomorrow brings and your role in it. And with that, I get to pivot to Devin, who will say more.
Thank you, Jackie. Hi, everyone. For those who don't know, I've been a member at Middle for about 6 years and joined the staff to become the Director of Development for Middle Rising after the fire. And so within that work, many of you have been at congregational meetings this fall. We're in the 3-year campaign now for Middle Rising, and that is a $15 million campaign, as Jackie said. That is to fund both of our programming needs, our operation needs, and our rebuilding for these next 3 years in one fund collectively. So with that, we're using the pledges that you're giving to us to both fund the operations again, fund this programming for these 3 years as we're getting to rebuilding, and then also putting that money into the needs that we have for that rebuilding fund as part of those insurance funds. So we are in a need space for you to let us know what your 3-year gift looks like. And a lot of you might say, well, I'm a recurring donor here at Middle, and that's wonderful. We love that. What we also hope you could do is just fill out the pledge form and say to us, yes, my recurring gift times 3 is what my pledge to this campaign is going to be. So I'll put that link into the chat for us in just a second. As Jackie did say, if you go to middlechurch.org/rising, the entire campaign document that we've gone through in congregational meetings this fall is there for you to look at again, as well as the videos and the pledge form for you. And then once you're ready to make the gift, there's a button right at the bottom that you can start doing that online, one-time payment, recurring, for however you'd like to set that up. And additionally, we now also have options for you to gift via stock or through your IRA or charitable funds as well. All things are there. If you can, please fill out a pledge form by December 31st so that we know at the end of this year what this congregation can commit to for this next 3 years. Thank you.
I'm going to dive in at the very back end of don't go, Ben, stay right there. Don't even change the highlight. We need to know, friends, by February, what you can do for us, because there's a collegiate conversation about how we all sustain our ministry. So there's an urgency, and we hope for your generosity.
Thanks, Jackie. One of the things that's really incredible to me is that even as this congregation is working together to build a new building, recovering from the grief and trauma that we've all lived through the last couple of years, both through COVID and through our own particular trauma from the fire, we're also continuing to do incredible, wonderful, glorious church together. that is so incredible to me, the way that we continue to live as Middle Church, even as we do all of these other things at the same time. And so I'm just going to highlight a few of the ways that we can be together this holiday season for worship and programs, and some of the things that are happening in January, just to give you a sense of like all the incredible ways that we can be community together in the days and weeks to come. So the first thing, I'm going to just share a few things with us here. On Sunday, December 18th, before worship at 10:30 a.m., Elise and Reverend Amanda are going to host a beautiful opportunity to make ornaments for families. So you can come in, bring your kids, make us something beautiful that you and your family can hang on your Christmas tree for years to come. It's going to be really, really fun. So just come before worship, be together. Let's have a wonderful family ornament making time together. Then our Christmas worship is going to be a little bit different this year than it has been in previous years. The first thing that's really exciting is that Christmas Day is actually on a Sunday. So we are going to have both Christmas Eve worship and Christmas Day worship. Christmas Eve worship, because we know that there's going to be way more people who want to come and celebrate with us than we can fit at East End Temple, is going to be at Marble Church. So that's on 5th Avenue and 29th Street. That's going to be at 9 p.m. If you come, you're going to get a free copy of Jackie's beautiful book, as well as another little gift from us at Middle. And so everybody who comes through the door is going to be able to see, get a beautiful piece of Middle to take home with them. It's going to feature the Dries Johnson Gospel Choir and Jackie preaching, and it's just going to be all of the Christmas wonderful magic that you are looking forward to. Speaking of Christmas wonderful magic, look at that beautiful, beautiful illustration of the Holy Family that one of our members, Anastasia McGlure-Williams, designed for us this year. Just the arts in this community blow my mind every day. But then Christmas Day, we're going to be back at East End Temple. We're going to be with our colleagues up at Fort Washington Church. They're actually going to come down and celebrate with us. And so it's going to be a really beautiful, intimate Christmas morning worship celebration at our normal time at 11:45 a.m. at East End Temple. As with all of our worship, it's all going to be available online. So if you're, tuning into this meeting from somewhere else, or you find yourself, somewhere else in the country for the Christmas holidays, you're going to be able to participate with us and celebrate the holiday with us wherever that finds you. Similarly, for New Year's, this is really just the year of the eve and the day all together, because New Year's Eve is on a Saturday night. And so we're going to do an online celebration, since we figured that as much as you love us, you probably have some other things to do on New Year's Eve, and maybe want to just take a little bit of Middle love at 7 p.m. Natalie and Mira are going to host a live stream celebration. It's going to be beautiful and jazzy and fabulous. And then you'll be out and you can go to whatever kind of festivities you want to do to ring in the new year. But then the next, don't party too hard, because the next day we're going to have a beautiful worship celebration at East End Temple and online at our normal time at 11:45 a.m. So that's going to be our sort of Christmas, New Year's worship arc. They're going to be fabulous, glorious, beautiful, and just a wonderful opportunity to be in community together. And then that's going to push us into some really amazing things in January. The first thing is that we know that all of our incredible members all around the country are longing for more opportunities to be, yoked together. And so we are starting a series of regional gatherings that Natalie and me are going to host. And so this is going to be, it'll be on successive I want to say it's a Wednesday. Hold on a second. Let me look at my notes. Yes, that is Wednesdays in January at 7 p.m., whatever time your time is. So in the Eastern region, it's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern time. In the Central region, it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time, but 7 p.m. Central time. And the Mountain region will be 7 p.m. Mountain time. And the Pacific region will be 7 p.m. Pacific time. So whatever your region, find your week. And it's going to be an opportunity to meet all the other members who worship online in your general region of the country. So you guys can get, grouped together and connected and start planning some amazing new things to happen in the year, because we're really trying to do more regional gatherings to make Middle happen on the ground in other places besides New York City. So that's going to be a really amazing opportunity. And then finally, we have a wonderful self-care series that we want to put into the world around the new year. It's going to be called Self-Care is Communal. And this is a reflection of, knowing that care is always happens in communities, and we have such rich multiculturalism in Middle's own community. It's going to go through some different focuses week to week. So there's going to be a week focusing on Latinx, Hispanic, community practices of self-care, and a week on Black communal practices of self-care, and AAPIDA communal practices of self-care, and queer communal practices of self-care. You're welcome to come to all the different weeks. We're going to center folks of different identities in week to week, and we ask for you to sort of be mindful of your own social location and identity. But come throughout, you're going to learn all sorts of beautiful care practices that hopefully you can incorporate in your own life. And then the last thing that I'll highlight is we just launched our new conference, which is going to be hot. It's going to be back in New York City. We're coming back in person. It features literally like a who's who of all the most brilliant people in the country. People like Nadia Wolz-Weber and Kelly Brown Douglas and J. Mace III and Frederick Joseph and Nelba Marquez Green and Uche Blackstock and Ruby Sales and Simranjit Singh and Latasha Brown and Caitlin Curtis, Oluyemi Olurin. I mean, it's literally just going to be day after day after day of brilliance, Friday through Sunday, April 28th through the 30th. So mark your calendars. Tickets are on sale now, but we're going to be announcing way more amazing things about that in the new year with lots more details. And you're going to be definitely wanting to get yourself a ticket because it's going to be absolutely stunning. And with that, I will pass it over to Elise with some of the things that we are scheming about.
Thanks, Ben. I kind of feel jealous that I don't have special graphics, but I have a lot of spunk. So that's what I'm bringing to my presentation. So hi guys, I'm Elise. I think a lot of you are familiar, but some of you aren't to me. I'm the director of Congregational Life, but it's just a fancy way of saying I get to dream about all the things coming up programmatically, which is exciting to me because for me, programs are the vehicle through which we deliver care and play, right? And so we're continuing to explore creating parallel experiences for our online and our in-person members and our friends. And I wanted to just highlight and touch back on something that Natalie said kind of at the framing of this, is that we're really looking at what we're offering holistically, mind, body, and spirit connections. How do we balance our soul care with our mental health awareness and our physical and recreating physical opportunities to be together, all while working to weave together our international family into one beautiful web. So Ben has named a few things, but I really want to pick up where he left off to say, yes, we love to plan ahead, but we're also still actively listening and trying to implement the things that we hear you asking for and we hear you saying you need. Local opportunities, right, to be in person, but also online opportunities, hoping to catch our global friends as well, and to really just knit deeper threads of connection among our members. So I'm going to just highlight some things that I'm really excited about that we have coming up. So we are bringing back and reimagining our parenting group. And we're pairing it with in-person opportunities for our kiddos and our teens to be together so that we are both nourishing our young people, but also nourishing our grown-ups, our adults. All of this leading us to our annual Freedom Summer Camps, which we're continuing to improve with your feedback. Natalie is laying foundational work for an affinity group for Black women and femmes. We have fabulous sermon talkbacks planned for all of February, centering and uplifting our Black community members, and also encouraging all of us to interrogate anti-Blackness where it lives in us. We have a moving MLK teach-in planned. We have care trainings planned for deacons and community group leaders to continue to embody God's love and in our congregation. We have Bible studies, we have queer roundtables, we have a lunch celebrating the many different Asian and Desi diasporic communities. And I'm talking quickly because time is short, but really this is just a highlight of kind of what's coming down the road as we continue to cultivate ways to be together. And that is also to say, we also have a ton of opportunities that have been existing in a hybrid modality to be together. We have multiple monthly opportunities for queer folks and our 20 to 40s and our elders, and our butterfly outreach ministry is going strong, continuing to create meals for our most vulnerable and food insecure neighbors. And we continue to operate within this hybrid model, right? So many people in this chat and in this Zoom room are not New Yorkers, and many of you actually aren't even in the US, and each and every one of you continues to be integral to the life of Middle Church. And I think what I want to kind of end with saying is that I spent a lot of time naming things, but I want you to hear what's coming up because I want you to be excited about what's coming up. I'm excited for the opportunities for us to learn from and with each other, to hear each other's stories and to interrogate scripture and to share in person, but also virtual coffees together. And we invite your partnership and your leadership and your dreams too. One of the favorite things that I get to do, again, is oversee our programming. And we have program proposal forms designed to help bring potential ideas to life. So if you're feeling particularly called within this movement of love and justice to initiate something, or you just want to have a conversation about something you've been thinking about, but you're not sure how to flesh it out, or you want to step up into additional leadership or volunteering, but you're not really sure where to start, this is a great opportunity to get that ball rolling. And I'd love to be in conversation about you. Any of us would be happy to be in conversation with you about what that looks like. With that, Jackie, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
I kind of like my team. I kind of like my team. I think my team is kind of shiny and sparkly. I just want you to know my team is sparkly. You know that in all of churchdom, churches are trying to figure out how do you do church now post-COVID? Is someone coming back? Are we coming back? What's it going to look like? What's programming going to look like? The collegiate church is trying to figure out who are we? What's our identity? What are our resources? How do we do this? And I'm just absolutely convinced that there's no place on the planet like Middle Church. This is why we're here. This is why Vicki and the board and I are committed to rebuilding, because our uniqueness, our all the things, justice, all the ways, joyful, come and dance, come and cry, community of faith and love and justice is required. It's essential, my colleague Vicki says, it's essential to have a middle church in the world, putting love where there's hatred, putting justice where there's injustice, putting not acceptance, but welcome where there's rejection, putting peace where there's violence. This is who we are and this is what we do. So we're inviting your partnership. I can't believe how many of you came short notice on a Wednesday night. We're going to have more conversations like this, and we want you to come. We want to hear what you think. We want to share what we're thinking. We want to build this ship together. That's your dreams, your ideas, your ideologies, your ethic, your gifts, and your funds, okay, and your funds. So let us stop here now and see what questions you have. I've been trying to pay attention to the chat. I'd love if you'd raise your hand, and we can use that hand raise function, which I think can happen AI-wise now. But let's see if we can have some conversation together, and you can direct your question to one of us. Ben, can you tell me? Elise, can you tell me? You know, we'd love to answer your questions. We'll do that for about 15 minutes, and then we'll wrap. Okay. Let's stay muted, but if you have a question, raise your hand and then we will call on you and you can unmute, okay? Look at Michael Helk from
I see Ayana's hand.
Ayana. Hi,
Um,
go ahead.
I'm wondering, so Christmas Eve at Marble, so will the Marble congregation be there as well? Or will it just be our congregation?
Oh, that's a great question, Ayana. I think they might stay, but they're doing their Christmas Eve at 6:30 and we're doing ours at 9 o'clock.
Okay,
And so we are grateful to them that they made space for us. We can't imagine that we could get all of our Christmas folks into EET. So Christmas Eve there, 29th and 5th at 9 o'clock. And we'll be at EET Christmas morning at 11:45. Great question, friend.
Jackie, there's two questions in the chat. One is pondering where in New York City the conference is happening. And the next question is just kind of wondering about the current status of the facade for anyone who might have missed the beginning.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. We are circling around a location for the conference. We think it's going to be at Trinity Wall Street. That's our most likely suspect. They're really excited about partnering with us on lots of things. In fact, Vicki and I have been in a training program with a cohort of people that Trinity called together to think about the sacredness of our spaces. And so this hosting the conference would be the next level in our partnership. So stay tuned. We should know by next week where we'll be. Okay. And the facade, it is shocking that it is still standing. Today in a meeting, Vicki and I were reminded that the east wall, right, the wall that's standing is the west wall, but the east wall was so badly damaged right after the fire that the Department of Buildings made us take it down. That left a hole between the social hall and the rubble that was the sanctuary. It is now covered with a sort of tin can barrier. But we think that they left up the facade because there's emotion about the facade. The west wall, if you will, has emotion attached to it. But honestly, friends, the west wall, the facade, took the brunt of the fire. That's where the fire was. So we took down the eastmost wall because it was destroyed, and we left the west wall up because it hadn't fallen down, but it needs to come down so we can build again.
To not get too technical, because I'm not an engineer, although I've spent an awful lot of time with them lately. When you look at the facade from 2nd Avenue, and I remember this distinctly a year ago when we marched from Park Avenue, where we were holding services, and we marched over to the site. Everybody remember that? And then there was the rainbow, and we all thought, oh my God, it's a sign. But the reality is the structure that keeps it standing before we braced it, before the fire, is brick. The facade, which is limestone on the 2nd Avenue side, it's really degraded. It's decorative. So the decorative is damaged, and then the brick that is supposed to hold it up is also damaged. And that was what we didn't know until we knew it.
And thank you so much, Vicki. Vicki and I are like suddenly people who talk about spalling brick and all the things. Who knew? What we want to acknowledge to you, friends, is that we, the board, the staff, thought of the facade as like a symbol of resilience and like, we're still here, and had every intention of keeping it. The Department of Buildings did not ask us to waterproof it. We waterproofed it to try to keep it up. And it is with sorrow, we say, that it doesn't seem like adding more financial investment to the facade is a worthy pursuit, and it's a dangerous pursuit. So don't think we're like flippantly take down the facade. We're like, ugh, take down the facade. But we really do think we need to take it down. And when we build back, we'll try to nod to the historic fabric and the nature of the facade. So we just wanted to kind of own how that feels in our bodies.
Thanks, Jackie. We have a couple questions in the chat about whether or not conference is going to be recorded, online, hybrid. So I'm just going to jump in and answer that really quickly. So the conference will be recorded. We have one of the things we've learned from the last few years of doing an online conference where we had people just sitting and trying to participate on Zoom for like 3 straight days of like 9-hour Zooms is that it's actually really, really hard to participate that kind of way. It's just exhausting to stare at a screen for that long. And particularly as we're thinking about moving back to an in-person conference, it's actually really hard technically to create both a very, very good in-person experience while simultaneously creating a very, very good online experience. And so the conference, when it happens in April, will only be in person. Will only be in person. Buy a ticket, come. after the conference at some point in the future, we are going to clip all of the material up from the conversations, and we're going to create some sort of course where people can move through all of that, information that's presented in the conference weekend at a more leisurely pace with education and engagement and that kind of thing in an online format. That being said, there are going to be parts of the conference, like we're having this incredible arts night on Saturday night where we're going to have Broadway performers and live readings and an art show and all sorts of things, and a gala with past hors d'oeuvres and things like that. That kind of experience is only going to be available in person. The opportunity to really just be in a room with a whole bunch of other people pursuing justice, like in a physical space, mingling with some of our presenters, and that kind of opportunity is only going to be available in person. And so we think if you're able to, if you're a member, who lives in a different state or something, make that your pilgrimage to Middle. Come to Middle for the weekend. It's going to be like a weekend that you will never, ever forget, and an opportunity to really, really dig down into the work that God's calling us to. So that's sort of the answer on that, is it will be available online, but not during the conference itself, and in a somewhat different format. And there will be things that you just won't be able to be part of because they're only going to happen in that moment.
Jackie, kind of going back into the conversation around the facade and landmarks, someone in chat's wondering if is there like a high level for anyone who missed that hearing, what happened? I know we haven't, there's a meeting next Tuesday, I believe, but can you just give a high level, kind of like what went down?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I mean, I think I want to first just say kind of bluntly, we're not at war with the preservation community. There are lots of places in the preservation community that understand that Middle is the history. In fact, we got an award from part of the preservation community about 3 months ago, thanking us for being on the planet and on that corner for oh so many years, since 1892. But in this landmark district, there's always a kind of tension between what we save and what we don't, and what is wanted to be saved is like, this is Billie Holiday, and this is Bob Dylan, right? And this is Stonewall. This is art and justice and all kinds of beautiful things that happened on the Lower East Side in Louisiana. And there's a facade that dates to 1892. So the conversation with them right now is, frankly, have we done all we can? Like, have we done all we can? And I'll be honest, as a girl who has spent $4.2 million to do all we can, I feel a little teeny tiny offended every now and then, like, have we done all we can? Yes, we have. We've had many buku engineers and buku money spent, and cranes and scoopers and digger outers, and like pushing all the debris against the building to keep it up, and putting up the metal to keep it up, and engineers telling us that the thing shifted by 0.2 inches, that makes a difference, and none of it is stable if any of it is not stable. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like this, right? Boop, boop. It's not safe. So it's not safe. That's the bottom line. It's not safe. And it's also not appropriate to now take the 2-year-old facade and stick needles in it and try to send, equipment up it and probes up it. It's like when my mother was dying of cancer, how long do you keep the life support going? This facade is done. And somebody who's richer than us might have a different solution. But we who are not rich have spent 1/5 of our insurance money on the facade, and we're done. My board is here. Lots of people from my board, raise your hand if you're on the board. We have worked really, really hard on this. And the collegiate church has worked really hard on this. And now the next step is, what else can we do so we can come back to that site? And I have to say, we have no access through the northern neighbor where the fire happened. So we cannot rebuild because she will not let us rebuild using her site. We have to take it down to rebuild, and we really can't put it back up.
Jackie, can I add, somebody had asked specifically about that first hearing, and here was what was so remarkable and encouraging, and that is how many of you, middle members, community members, signed up, logged in, and gave testimony about middle and how important it is to people, and what a strong community we have built, and now how it has grown, quite frankly, beyond, the East Village, and beyond the Northeast, and it is now national and it is now global. That testimony was amazing. And then one other data point, a past president of the Landmarks Preservation Committee testified in support of our request to take it down. So this is somebody who used to decide and judge these cases, who has delved into the circumstances we faced and told the current committee, I actually support Middle's application.
Thank you so much, Vicki. What I want to do is make sure, is there any other question around that? Because the reason we're doing this is so you can really dig in with this with us. Is there any other? Yeah, Mark, I see you. Go.
Just given the reality of the neighbor and the trouble building, let's move the facade to the side because that will be what it will be. But assuming that we get around that, the facade issue, is it a reality to rebuild where we are with a neighbor who won't allow us to rebuild where we are?
Good question.
That's an excellent question. You said yes. In congregational meetings, in one-on-ones, you said yes. And so we built there before. And I think, Mark, not to be flip or anything, but like, she's a minority stakeholder in the neighborhood. She's got that. But she had 2 fires in 1 year. She's not insurable. I think we're the more, do you understand what I'm saying when I say we're the more powerful, meaning full of power, your love, your support, and the work we have to do, neighbor. And though if we can get access, we can rebuild, and we don't need her for that, right? That's why the facade coming down will be super helpful. Does that feel honest, son? That's how it feels inside me. Yeah. Thank you for asking that, Mark.
Do we have any sense? Hi, this is Elizabeth.
Where are you, Elizabeth? I can't see you.
I'm
Hi.
here.
Hey, hi.
Hi. Do we have any sense? I'm sorry I was unable to attend the hearing, but I wanted to, and I'm sorry I was late to this meeting, had a little bit of an emergency around here. What's next as far as the landmark, as far as that decision? Do we know when we're going to know, or what the next steps are?
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. We Vicki and I were in meetings today again with our team, and we're sending our information one more time tomorrow. And on the 13th of December, not in an open session this time, but in a closed meeting with just the Landmarks Commission, they'll hear our case again. And we don't need more testimonies. You guys were awesome, but they will listen for what they think is the truth of our story. And they will not tell us probably until the new year, Elizabeth. Okay. But we're going to go ahead and make our case. And, we only need 5 of the 9 of them to support us. So okay. How are we feeling, Vicki?
We are feeling confident about our case and the facts. We recognize that there's a lot of good in landmark preservation, but there is also a lot of elite privilege in it. Yeah. And we are trying to really argue that community and people and service that comes from the heart of Middle, that supersedes the bricks and the limestone.
The limestone, right?
That's
Okay.
right. And so with whatever they decide, we're gonna need you again, right? To they say
Mhm.
thank you or to say no. And maybe we haven't said this enough times, let's say. The collegiate consistory, you all understand that we're part of a 4-church collegium, right? Middle, Marble, West End, Fort Washington. The 4-church collegium board decided that yes, we could, should, must rebuild on that site. And we worked our way there because, you know, it's a thing to decide. But they gave us 2 paths. One path being, is there a partner? Is there a development partner, a like-minded partner? Is there some other nonprofit? Is there somebody else who can help us kind of mitigate risk, unlock risk at that site? Maybe buy the popcorn lot, right? Because that'll make that risk go away. Maybe buy the Hopper House to the south. Someone else, we can't do that. Is there someone who wants to walk with us on this? So we're in an active search for said partner. That's one path. The second, let's not use that finger. The second path, sorry, that's not a good finger. But the second path is we rebuild by ourselves, right? So we're working on that, and that's our fundraising campaign and how do we design and what can we do? So we're working concurrently on those 2 paths to see which is the right one, with a February reporting to our shared board, but for us, a June decision. If we don't have a partner by June, we're rebuilding by ourselves, even if we have to sort of stage the rebuild. Right, Vicki? Anything you want to add there? Right?
Yes.
Claudia, you're here. Anybody else on the board want to add anything in there? I can't see everybody, but
Nope, that
Tom's
was,
there. I see
it's a good
Tom.
representation.
That's good. Thanks, Claudia. Tom's there. Anything? Yeah, Tom? Okay. And there's other options, like we could have moved uptown to another one of our churches. We asked you about that and you kind of were like, that's not what we want. So we could have moved and merged with another church on the Lower East Side. That's not what we explored. This is the 2 paths we're on for now to see what happens. Christy, I see you.
Hi Jackie.
Hi,
Hi,
Jen.
everybody.
How have you been?
Good. How are you? My question, it might be a little late for this and maybe I missed it, maybe it already happened. But was there ever a petition started that, or would it make any difference if there was a petition, you know, like one of those online petitions focusing on the facade issue to the Preservation Commission? Is that a thing or has that been explored? Is it too late?
It's not too late and we didn't do it, but 48 people wrote letters to say, please let us do it out of 51, and 22 people testified, let's do it. Christy, if you want to do that, please do that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's too late to influence the commission.
I just think, you know, I was thinking about, you know, how Middle does great advocacy work for so many organizations and getting out the vote and things like that. I thought, isn't this a place we could do this for ourselves in the form of a petition or something? I mean, I don't know if the commission pays any attention to that sort of thing, but it seems like, you know, it'd be something. I don't know.
I would say go for it. You
Okay.
know? I would say go for it if that's what you'd like to do, and we can give you the names of the people to send it. The landmark staff has been very wonderful and lovely. The commission's not our enemy. Some of the preservation people are annoyed, but yeah, let's go for it. Do it.
Right. Just looking at some of the comments about the community and are there neighbors concerned about the safety and rebuilding and all that? I just imagine that there would be a lot of people we don't even know about who would support us. And
I think that's right, Christy.
willing.
And I think what's true is that, you know, there's stories about it, but there's not a lot of stories about it. There's a lot going on in the world, like Georgia. But I think to keep the story alive is a really good idea. So please feel free to do that.
Okay.
And yes, theater houses, and yes, all the things. I just saved the chat. So if we don't get to all your questions, we're going to turn it into an FAQ on the website. We're almost done. Who has something else that they want to ask? Hi, Gabrielle DeVoe.
Jackie, can I just add something in about the
Please, Jeff.
campaign number
Absolutely.
2 to kind of ensure everyone feels good about our raising ability, right? So part of the process of the capital campaign was to initially start with a feasibility study that took a really good look and a hard look at this giving community, what this community has given for the last few years historically, and folks who are committed to the campaign. And that study did show us that the tested number of 15 million is absolutely achievable from the people we know and the people that we know are connecting us to through foundation work, through governmental support, and this congregation. And so in all of this, the two parallel paths of determining which we're going to do, the $15 million raise is not pie in the sky. It's absolutely achievable in these 3 years through this work.
Thank you so much, Love, for saying that. Vicki, is there anything you want to say before I close us? Our new chair?
No, I think we're good. I'm
Anybody
just
else
so
from-
pleased to see all these faces, people that, we haven't been able to see each other. And this is just wonderful. The response, it warms my heart. Oh, I see a hand up. Linda from Tucson. One of my favorites.
Linda!
I just always have to, I think the petition might be a great idea. And I think the thing to stress is the history of Middle is not a rock. It's the community that it lived in and served for all those years. That's what you don't want to lose. It's not the rocks, it's what it means to that community. I've never been to Middle, but I know it's right where it should be. And that's the history that has to be preserved and cannot be replaced by anything other than that in that space, period.
Thank you.
That's my
Linda.
say.
You are preaching to the choir.
Yes, you are. And when your Tucson member is saying that space matters, that warms our heart. Friends, we want to close with, I would like to close with these 3 ideas. It's 2 years ago this week that building burned down. And it is stunning to me that we're still here. It's stunning to me that we're here, and you were here. We're here, you're here, meeting in the park in the summer, Julie, holding on to each other in new adventures, my friends, doing chat and chew, coming to church, bringing your babies, being on the board, going to pass out the sandwiches, singing in the choir with your masks on, hallelujah, marching in the Pride March. Like, we did not stop being Middle Church. And we won't stop being Middle Church. But don't imagine that we don't need you. We need you. This right here is a sanctuary, right here. 77, 80 members came to church tonight. Amen. We need that. Church is a community organizing engine. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Whether you do it virtually or whether you do it in person, you doing it matters. Don't skip church. Do it the way you need to do it. Pour yourself a mimosa and come to church. Put your skirt on, men, and come to church. Put your jeans on and come to church. Gather with your family in the basement. My biggest joy in the world is grandbabies touching Nana for the benediction. Come to church. Come to church. Because it changes us, right? And it reminds us that we're a person. We need that. Your participation matters. Your voice matters. This is a way to express your voice, but also in social media. Also write us emails. Go to middleinfo@middlechurch.org. And Mark is going, what about? If you have what abouts, write us at middleinfo and tell us. Then put that in the chat. Like, did you think about? We don't know all the stuff. Tell us what you know so we can have your voice and your wisdom in our hearts while we go through this thing. Come to church, tell us what you know. 3, stay connected to each other. Deb, I haven't seen Galen in so many months. She fell down. Joey, I didn't know that, Ayana had a birthday. Like, be a universe together. Loving on each other, sharing each other's burdens and sharing each other's gifts. You are the ministers of Middle Collegiate Church, not just those of us on staff. What you think, what you feel, what you heard, what you share resonates and just builds our muscle of love and fierce love. And finally, I'm not kidding. Do not yield into the BS of hatred in this nation. Just do not let it crush your soul. Do not participate in the crap. Remember that we are light and we are love. You are love and you are light. And at the grocery store, on the subway, in the classroom, in the bedroom with your partner, with your kiddos, you are love all the time. And every time you amplify love, you amplify God. Period. Love. Period. Everything else is commentary. Everything else is commentary. So when we pray in the mornings, I love seeing you over there, Sarah and Jesse. Every time we pray, we touch each other. So touch each other in an appropriate way in the Zoom squares, go up and down.
Hey, Jackie, I just thought about one more thing,
Yes,
somebody to recognize and to honor and to appreciate. Longtime, very special member who just had a birthday, a significant birthday. And everybody just give a birthday shout out to Alan Singleton.
Alan!
Happy birthday, Alan.
Yes.
Happy birthday! 90 years young and cute.
Woohoo!
Yes, sir.
Is he here?
Thank you for doing that.
Yay, Alan.
Let's say a blessing together. Will you repeat with me? Holy One.
Holy One.
Holy One.
You are love.
You are
You
love.
are love.
We are love.
We
are love.
Help us love the world.
Help us love the world.
Let's love the world.
And ourselves.
and ourselves.
Ourselves.
Fiercely.
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 Woo! Love you. Happy birthday, Alan. Thanks for coming, everybody.